Hello out there and welcome back to another Forza Horizon 5 tuning guide. Today we are skipping the Forza Horizon 6 announcement rumors and the news we've got a few days ago to focus on the real star, the BMW F90 M5 CS. This is hands down my favorite M5, right alongside the legendary V10 E60. You might be asking, what is the concept behind today's build? Well, I wanted this M5 CS to be a legitimate Porsche 911 hunter. The stock power output is solid, but what about cornering and braking? Those are the areas where the 911 is usually miles ahead. You can see the final build in the video right now, so take a guess. Did I convert the F90 to rear-wheel drive like I did with the 992 Turbo S, or did the all-wheel drive system stay? The answer is, it's still AWD. In this case, the AWD felt amazingly good, so we kept it. The first thing we are doing is slapping on some aero parts. Naturally, I'm skipping the generic Forza Aero as much as possible and using the AC Schnitzer parts instead. Except for that front splitter, where we had no other option. After adding those amazing looking parts, excluding the splitter and admittedly the wing, we are widening the semi-slicks and increasing the track width for more mechanical grip, sharper turn-in response and better braking performance. Usually, I would swap in lighter rims, but the stock ones are beautiful and they match the golden bronze accents perfectly. Now let's make the car lighter and more responsive. We're adding a race clutch, a 6-speed race transmission and a race driveline. To maximize adjustability, we are also throwing in a race differential. Next up, platform and handling. Race suspension and anti-roll bars are a total no-brainer here. You get so much adjustability that you can easily gain over a second on my test track just by tweaking those values. A full roll cage is also a must-have. Yes, it adds weight back on, but the increased stiffness helps the car rotate beautifully through sharp corners. Finally, we use race weight reduction to shed a massive 367 kilograms, making the car significantly lighter. Now let's push the power sky high with some engine upgrades. I decided not to use the race camshaft because the M5 CS has such a beautiful power plateau and the upgraded cam would just destroy that curve. You'd gain peak power and torque, but you wouldn't get any real advantage from the higher RPM range. After emptying the parts bin, we ended up with nearly 800 horsepower and over 900 Nm of torque, which is fantastic. But the real magic is the weight loss of nearly 350 kilograms. With the hardware sorted, we have to adjust the fine-tuning. Keep in mind that these values aren't universal for every M5 CS build. Just a single change to the parts list can make a huge difference. Let's kick things off with the tire pressure. The stock pressure was way too high, as it is with almost every car in stock conditions. 2.3 bar is a tiny bit too high even when fully heated up. 2.0 bar is generally the reference point where most cars perform best. Next is the gearing. Originally, the first gears were too short and the final gears were too long, so I flipped the logic completely. Because of our aero settings, the top speed sits around 310 kph, which is quite low for an S1 car. But once you see how this thing corners, you won't be complaining. Alignment is always a mess on stock tunes. Camber values are too high and the front caster is always too low. What's unusual here is that the front camber is actually higher than the rear. In my experience, values are usually identical for AWD cars, but not this time. The front runs minus 0.3 degrees more camber than the rear. The anti-roll bars were okay to start, but the rear was way too stiff for my taste. Combined with the minus 0.1 degrees of rear toe, the rear ARB had to be softer, though that is a personal preference. The spring settings actually had decent base values, so I just made them a bit softer and lowered the car. We are not slamming the ride height to the minimum because the car felt unstable speeding over sidewalks or small bumps. Now the dampers. I swear the devs just asked Google 4 times to give me a number between 0 and 20. The front was too stiff and the rear was too hard. To be fair, the base values worked somewhat well with the stock setup, so I get it, but I changed them completely. When it comes to Aero, you can honestly use whatever value you want. Min or max it, you won't destroy the setup. I decided to take the middle road, but this is completely up to you. Since the turn-in response was already good, I ran slightly lower front downforce and higher rear downforce to stay planted on the throttle through those fast corners. For brakes, I had plenty of room before locking up the tires, so I added more braking pressure. I shifted the balance more toward the rear. Remember, the logic is reversed in Forza, which helps to maneuver the car while somewhat rail braking into a turn. Last but not least, differential settings. Center balance is at 80% and the rear has to lock up more to give us that rear-wheel drive feeling and amazing initial turn-in response. The front is lower because the car has a ton of power but remains easily controllable. So lower front values are the way to go. And that's it. We are done with the tuning section. You can see the share code on the screen now, so can use the tune yourself. 3, 2, 1, go. Both cars launched towards the first checkpoint, but the tuned M5 immediately pulls a 14 kph advantage right at the start of the flying lap. The gap quickly widens to 25 kph, which doesn't sound like much until you consider that massive power difference and weight reduction. You can really feel those aero upgrades kicking in now. A full 1 second gap has already opened up. In this next section, take a look at how the bone stock M5 CS handles. Yes, there's a huge difference compared to the tuned beast, but the real enemy here is the weight. That said, for a sedan hauling over 1800 kilograms, it actually handled surprisingly well. Meanwhile, the gap has grown to nearly 3 seconds. That is just pure domination from the tuned car. In the next part you can see how both cars are flying through this right-left combination. You can witness exactly how the upgraded aero and mechanical grip work together to hustle this beast through the corners so much faster. With those rear bias differential settings, the tail of the tuned CS actually dances out a bit. It looks cool and it's entertaining, but unfortunately sliding isn't fast. I messed up that sharp right-hander slightly, so we didn't gain massive time there, yet the gap is already sitting just under 5 seconds. Now we are jumping into my absolute favorite part of the track. Both cars are rocketing down towards the University of Guanajuato. To be fair, the top speed difference here isn't actually that huge. The grey M5 hits 277 kph, while the green stock version manages 264 kph. On the right-hander you can see once again that the stock CS is still quick, but it is nowhere as stable through the corner. The gap opens up by another 1.5 seconds. We finished one of the fastest sectors, so now we are heading over to the slowest and most difficult section of the entire track. This part is usually a nightmare for cars that tend to understeer. However, in the case of the M5 CS, both versions are relatively easy to maneuver through here. But thanks to the massive weight reduction, the tuned car is obviously faster. Honestly, the difference between these two setups in the specific section might be the biggest gap I've seen in any tune I've done so far. We are now looking at a lead of nearly 8.5 seconds. Last but not least, both cars are heading into the final technical section where grip is king. As expected, the difference in cornering speed is huge. I really had to fight the stock M5 CS here because the tires just couldn't hold the line. Right before the final straight, the lead has increased to nearly 10 full seconds. For this last sprint, I'll let you enjoy the raw sound of this 4.4 liter twin-turbo V8. And there we have it. Both cars have crossed the line with a total time difference of nearly 11.5 seconds. I think we all expected a big gap, but over 10 seconds with a PI difference of just 77? This is absolutely nuts. So what do you think? Is this a true 911 hunter or just a more powerful family taxi? Drop your opinions in the comment section below. That's it for today's build. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or suggestions, let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and until next time, keep the revs up high and the weight down low.